Welcome to the Beesies.
I'm Abby.
I'm Brittany.
I'm Jenny.
And I'm Mackenzie.
Remember the college days when you were best friends with your roommates?
We would come home and talk about anything and everything together.
We miss this phase so much that we decided we needed this quality roommate time again.
So welcome to the Beesies. Come over and get cozy with your new favorite roommates.
Abby, hit it. All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Beesies podcast once again. If you're new here, join our group. Welcome to our new friendship. We've been around for a while, but you're not. And if you've been here before, welcome back.
I was thinking the other day about the fact that we've all been friends for 8 years now, basically, which is crazy. Because we all people met before that, but all of us, it was 2016, which is just so wild because it's almost been a decade.
They say if your friendship lasts 7 years, you'll be friends for life.
Yes. We made it past the 7-year itch.
Mm-hmm.
We're official.
Feels like a very big era in my life.
It really does.
I can't believe we're not in college anymore.
True.
I know.
I think about it. I feel like I am 20 years old. And so it's still wild to me that I'm like, no, 27 and not in college anymore. And I don't know. My heart just lives in that era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just the vibes of it. I officially signed up for a class to do prereqs for nursing school and stuff.
That's awesome.
Oh.
I'm so excited. Minor life update, I suppose, because I actually have not talked about that on the podcast. But I got an email about you have to pay this tuition, whatever. And I was like, this is the part I don't miss. I remember just all the fun vibes. And that's what I loved about college. But I'm excited. Yeah. It'll be good.
That's awesome. Are they online classes or?
Yeah. I'm just going to do one at a time pretty much. I just need to figure out exactly what schedule. I need to do. Yeah. Just because that way I can still be a working girl.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That is important.
One of my other life updates is that I signed up for a 10K in October.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited. It's in Chandler.
Awesome.
Me and some of my friends from work are going to do it. So I'm so excited.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
But it's nice to have something.
Is how much again?
6.2.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
not
big
too
one.
bad. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it is a
me.
lot. I've never run that far in one consecutive time. But I think because I was just so set on a half marathon, which I still want to do. And I still am hoping to do the one in November. This just feels way easier, though, mentally. Because I'm like, oh, it's not even half of that. So we'll see. I also have not even consistently run a mile. So we'll see. It'll be good, though.
Yeah. As long as you make it to the finish line, it doesn't matter how you did it, you know?
Yeah.
True.
I just think about how embarrassing it would be to be cut off by the pace people that are because they're oh, you have to finish the first lap, which is half of it within 50 minutes. And I'm like, that would be so embarrassing to not make that cut. But
Wait, why do you have to?
a lot of races have time limits, basically. So for
if it's on a road, there's blocking off traffic.
Yeah. So they want to make sure you are keeping with a specific pace. It's usually a 16 to 17 minute mile. So it's really not that bad. But I just think about I know the Disney races you have to keep a 16-minute mile pace. And if you fall below that, then they cut you off basically. And they're like, nope, you're done. So
they just stop you mid-race and say you need to leave?
Yes.
That feels really dramatic.
Isn't that so savage? I would be so
gosh.
embarrassed. I would never race again.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, I'm I genuinely think I could speed walk that. So I'm I'm really not that worried, but it is just kind of funny.
Just the possibility of it, I feel is a little intimidating.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. How are you both?
Crazy.
Any life updates from the week?
Yesterday I went to Canyon Lake with my paddleboard, and it was the best day of my life.
I
Was
did
the
see
water cold?
picture.
It was actually not that cold compared to like what the Salt River was like a month ago. It was fine. It wasn't cold, but it was refreshing, I guess. I went with my sister. She and I both have paddle boards, and we've been saying that like we want to go out just anytime. Like I have the desire every time like the afternoon rolls around. I'm like, I want to go spend the afternoon on the lake. But because we both have kids, like that's just not realistic. So we finally did commit to like a time and a day, and we were like, we're gonna go. So
is it just you two then? No kids?
Mm-hmm.
That's so fun.
And it was just like chill. Like in my mind, I don't need to make these things like an entire day trip to still have fun. Like I'm cool with driving out there, being on the lake for like an hour, hour and a half, and then like coming home. Like it doesn't have to be that excessive. So yeah, it was just like a little simple thing. Kind of went through the canyons a little bit and swam, and it was just like it seriously, I feel like a child anytime I'm out there. It just like brings me so much joy. I just wish I could live out there.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I'm really, summer is over. Kids are already back in school, and then my summer has like just started.
It's actually crazy that people are already back in school.
I know. I think like the school next to us, I didn't even realize that it was back in school, and then I got stuck in like pickup line on my way to the grocery store. Just like, what? It's the middle of July. Like they've been back for 2 weeks now.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
As a teenager, I hated it because I just felt like I never had enough time to do the fun summer things that I wanted to do. And I can see how, like, as a parent with kids, you're excited for your kids to go back to school because it does, like, disrupt your schedule. But also, like, I can already tell I'm going to be one of those parents that has a hard time sticking to my child's school schedule for vacations.
Yeah.
Like, I'm down to take you out of school for a week to go to Disneyland. I don't care, but wait, we should wait till break time in order to do that so you don't miss a week of school.
But it's hard because it's so busy at places then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, all the things I want to do, the better times to go is like in the middle of the school year. So I'm going to have a hard time with that once my child is old enough to like be in school. Not looking forward to it.
Okay. Me either. Have you guys?
That's fine. You don't have to respond. It's fine.
I thought Kenzie was about to say something, so I didn't want to interrupt. Have you guys, speaking of kind of that, and this, I guess, kind of segues too, have you guys ever thought about doing homeschool or like for kids? I was talking to someone about it this year. I don't think I could do it. Props to people who do. It sounds so exhausting. And like the benefit being you're with your kids more and all of that. But I'm like, there's so many benefits of like them going to school and like social part of it being a big one, I think. And like relying on an actual teacher opposed to my own knowledge. But I was thinking about that a lot, honestly, because of the Ballerina Farm article.
A good segue.
It's just
Truthfully,
the way it is.
I feel like I am sort of, I don't want to like make anyone angry for saying this, but I feel like I'm sort of anti-homeschool in the sense that like I don't really see the benefits that are there. I don't get.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I will ever do homeschool.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it if you are somebody who does it. But like for me in my life, I'm just like, no, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't really see the benefits personally to me, but
like time with your kids, I get that that's like beneficial, and like being on a like on your own schedule, I do get that. I think
Totally.
the type of homeschooling families that I can relate to more about that are like the traveling families that like live
Yeah.
in vans and like road trip, like that. To me,
That makes
homeschool
sense.
makes a lot more sense because you have so much more flexibility. But if you're just gonna be like a suburban family, even if you do live on a farm, like if you're just gonna be home all the time,
Yeah.
I don't get it. And then I don't get, like, some people are like, oh, I'm going to homeschool my kids because I want to be in control of their education. And I'm like, I know I could not do a good enough job compared to
Yes.
like a curriculum. Like, no, I don't feel that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. It's also hard because like you said, a lot of people that are homeschooling are like, oh, they're indoctrinating our kids at school and I want to be in control.
Yeah.
The thing is that like, at least here, like there are so many different options. Like there are
Yes.
Montessori schools if your kid needs more of like that,
Private,
like
public.
less structure, whatever. Like even just like in the public district, they offer like Montessori schools. They offer
Yeah.
like the super advanced ahead schools. So like I don't know.
They
I
have like
just
charter schools too, like run by more religious groups, or like there's Catholic school. There's like, you know, there's
so many options.
I just props to the parents that homeschool
Yeah.
though. If they truly, I'm not doubting that they are, but like if you truly are keeping up with the state
Yeah.
standards and teaching your kids everything that
yeah.
they would be learning in school, props to them. That's a lot of work.
That's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because this is what like was kind of coming to my mind as I was reading the article about Ballerina Farms. And for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, we'll explain it in a minute. But the like it was making me think about 7 Passengers and how they
8
were
Passengers.
homeschooled. Like 8 Passengers, yeah, sorry, they took them out
Getting
of
rid of
school
one.
to do this particular
She's in jail now.
program that was like kind of a program endorsed by a cult. Like a lot of times those homeschooling programs that people do are not like teaching what they would be learning in like a regular school. That's like a different curriculum based off of this group. And that's what I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because you are really like, in my opinion, the children aren't learning what they need to learn. So
Yeah,
that's what
I
it's like.
agree.
And then it causes obviously problems, as we saw with 8 Passengers, where it's like they were so isolated from everybody, from their peers, that it caused and gave way to a lot more problems being able to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So what is this article? Okay, stop with the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
leave it
has been a big thing on the internet this week. Does anyone want to give like a quick summary of this article that came out?
I would love to. Basically, Ballerina Farm is mainly Hannah. What's their last name? Nealman? Yeah. Hannah Nealman she is coined as TRAD mom, TRAD wife now, but her and her family, husband, 8 kids, live on their farm. It's like 200 and something acres in Utah.
No, I think it was like 300 plus acres.
Oh, you're right. It was a lot of acres.
It was a lot
But
of acres.
it's very
They also
like,
come from money.
they do.
I don't know what her
Yeah.
family did, but his family owns WestJet. Like,
Yeah.
they
Well,
come
and
from-
it sounded like from
or
the
JetBlue,
article
JetBlue, whatever.
JetBlue,
Yeah. Okay.
multiple other companies too. So like they come from money, very well off. But they live on their farm. They're very self-sustained. Everything they make from scratch, all the good things. They homeschool their kids at their farm, and their kids like help a ton. But the Times did an article interviewing Hannah specifically because she won Miss USA or Miss America.
She went
I
to
think-
Miss World 12 days after giving birth. And she kind of like,
Yeah.
that was like kind of controversial on the internet.
I remember when that happened too. it was pretty controversial because basically, yeah, she gave birth 12 days later. I think it was that she went to Miss America, but then she won that. And so that's why she then went to Miss World. I could be getting titles wrong, but one of the biggest beauty pageants she went to and won, which is insane. And that got a lot of controversy too, because they're like, oh, you're promoting that this is what people should be doing 12 days postpartum. But then on the flip side, people are like, or she's just showing like, this is how amazing women's bodies can be, is that 12 days ago I was giving unmedicated birth and now here I am competing and winning a big pageant. So the article though came out a couple days ago and it is very, very controversial as well. Mainly everything that I've been seeing is kind of critiques of the husband. I don't even remember his name, but
And that's definitely Daniel, I want to say, maybe.
I think it does start with a D.
That's definitely the vibe I was getting from the article, because it was very much like an opinion piece, I think.
Yes, definitely was.
Where like the reporter's bias was absolute, like, you know,
it was evident,
bias and experience and stuff. And so it's not like they were necessarily like exposing something, but it was just giving their opinions. And very much like interlaced in the context of it was like how he can never he just wanted to come talk to Hannah. He can't get a moment alone with her because either her husband is interrupting her and correcting her and saying like things that she's saying wrong, her kids are trying to get her attention, or she has to go do other things, and like, oh, Daniel will take you to go do this, and he's like, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to a girl.
I think it was a girl who did the interview.
It was, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Either way.
Good.
So yeah, it very much felt super like it was written in a way that it makes it appear as though the husband is kind of control, like
he's the head of the household.
At the hierarchy of the household, the head of the household, and it's like his ideas that he's kind of tried to like make his wife be a part of, and like she seems very happy to do it, but it all originates from like his ideas, and like, that wasn't the life she wanted for herself.
Right, if I'm not mistaken, she went to Juilliard. She was a ballerina, and in her words, she was a great ballerina. And then she met Daniel, and she wanted to wait a year before getting married, and he's like, no. And
they got married like engaged 2 months later.
Yeah, they got engaged a month after.
They
started dating. And they were living in New York, and she like shares this like story that after she had her first baby, they were on the subway, and he goes like, I don't want this. This is not the life I want for our kids. And now they like live on the farm. So everyone online is like, oh, I hope in another life, Hannah, that you get to be a ballerina that lives in this city and you don't have to like just follow your husband's dreams. And that's kind of what the article was getting at, was that it seems like Hannah has had to make more sacrifices in her personal life to end up at this point than Daniel did.
Yeah. Correcting her too about like questions about having kids and birth control, and like, how do you know it's time, or like, do you even use birth control, or like, so that part was very interesting. And I just can't stand when like you can tell that the decision about having kids like is
not being made together.
Yeah, it's not being made together. Like, she was pregnant 2 months after she was married with their first kid, which is just crazy. And yeah, anyways, and like, maybe this is the thing, is like at some point she probably has gotten to this point where like, I am happy this way, this is my life, this is what I want to do. But it's just, it's really hard when you're also looking at the sacrifices that she's had to give up.
Yeah.
And you're just like, where, I don't know, and all the responsibility that's put on her to like raise all her kids, take care of her kids, teach them, everything like that.
Yeah. I think also, like, I was talking to a coworker about the article actually over the last 2 days, and this coworker also, he like was raised kind of converted to and has left a very high demand religion. And so he's like very familiar with a lot of these themes as well. But something we were talking about is I think that like just general as a society, we forget that like two things can be true at the same time. I genuinely think she probably loves her life and she loves her kids and she would not change that. I also think it's completely okay for her to miss and mourn the life she could have had. And that's what is like hard with like kind of the article, but also the way that like her husband comes across is it almost feels like there's this assumption by him and everyone that she like either shouldn't regret leaving that life and like leaving dance and leaving New York and all these things, or that she doesn't. And it's like, well, it's okay if she does.
Yeah,
It doesn't
like, no
mean she
room
doesn't
for nuance.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't mean she
exactly.
hates her life. It just means that she misses another opportunity.
Yeah.
That is exactly like women can't win, and I'm like I'm glad you brought that up because like we know men that are like my wife will stay home, like it's not an option. But on the other side of the spectrum, we also know like both men and women that will look down on other women for choosing to stay home with their kids. Like, oh, you're not like you have no ambition, like you just want to stay home.
And it's okay if
I
that's
know
what you want.
Right. And I know so many people who are fulfilled by being a stay-at-home parent because that is their choice.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
that that's like where it all comes down to. And like I'm not trying to like bring up one specific religion, but I know that the girl that does the Girls Camp podcast,
Haley. Yeah. Haley Rawl.
Yeah, she talked about how like, you know, when you grow up in like a specific culture that kind of promotes specific like ideas about family and stuff, and then you leave that culture, you kind of have to like reevaluate like, oh, why was it the default that like I'm the woman and I'm staying home, like, and you just have to kind of like recognize that like even though that's what works for your family, like maybe it did come from a place of like toxic patriarchy or whatever.
Totally.
But I do just want to say that I love stay-at-home parents, and they deserve all the credit in the world, and we absolutely do not need to be looking down on people that choose to stay home with their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is what people forget too, especially because like, and the article kind of got at this, but not in the way that I personally would have wanted it. I think we look down on people who choose to be stay-at-home parents just as a whole, which is so sad because it's like, if that's genuinely your choice, that's fine. It's not a good or a bad thing. It just is what it is. But it's almost like, I think especially sometimes for women now, it's like, oh, if you do want to be a stay-at-home mom, like you were saying, Kenzie, like, why don't you want to be ambitious? Why don't you want to have a career? And it's like, well, it's okay if I don't. And like, I think guys especially actually as stay-at-home parents are looked down on. And it's like, oh, well, you're giving up all of this stuff. And it's like, I'm not giving it up. Or like, I am, but that's okay. Like, it's my choice. I think the choice part is what makes such a difference.
The choice part is huge. And also like for something that's just interesting to me is just like, I do think that she had to sacrifice more. So it is just interesting observing that like, why was that the default that she had to sacrifice living in the city where, you know, why was it like his dreams that they were like, okay, yes, that this makes more sense.
Yeah. The other part of that too is especially the way that like they live. I know they don't live like this frugal, is that the right phrase or the right word, like this frugal life where they are just like lavishly doing all these things. Like they are very stripped down, like they live on a farm, they eat the food that they grow and that they like, you know, and like they don't have very much technology, like they don't have TVs, like their kids live very like simple lives. And I don't necessarily think that is like not hard, like, and anybody can choose that for if they want to, but I do feel like in a way it comes from a lot of like they have like a lot of financial privilege because of her husband's like job and
but also their brand
upbringing
is
and
like
they
at
make a
this
lot
point.
of money. Yeah, they have like they sell like dairy and meat and like stuff
all of
from
their
farm,
bakery stuff.
all of
And
their
she's an
bakeries. They do a lot of
influencer
stuff.
too.
So they're making a lot of money, and like there is a large like that lifestyle is actually like it's really hard to be a stay-at-home mom and be able to have the right financial means in order to like
To do that.
all of that, especially with 8 kids. Like imagine 8 kids on like one person's salary is very, very difficult.
It's
like
terrifying.
I can barely even raise one kid on one person's salary. So like there is a level of financial privilege too, where it's like this life that she's living, how yes, it seems so magical, like living on a farm, dancing on her farm with her kids. Like they get to have these really special moments together. They're very close together. Like in a way, yes, I am very jealous of this life they have, but it also comes like it doesn't come so easily like, oh yeah, you can just do this and it's not a problem at all. Like
Yeah. It's
most
not something
people wouldn't
everyone
actually
can
be able
attain.
to afford that type of life.
Totally. Yeah, when they
Yeah.
were talking about, because I knew obviously that she was an influencer, and then also that they do like sell like I was just really aware of like their baked goods mainly. And like I'm pretty sure she sells like sourdough starter and stuff. But when they were talking about in the article like how many employees they have and stuff, I was like, oh, you like it is a business. Like this
Like
is
you
not
got a
just
business.
Yeah, which is also just crazy
Yeah.
to me.
Which is awesome. And like I think if they're able, like people who are able to do something like that and create like a product or a service that aligns with their lifestyle and everything, like I do think that is amazing for them. And like yeah, I think their family, like their kids are going to grow up with like really special memories of like living on the farm and all of that stuff. So there is like a benefit to it. Like there are
Totally.
upsides but it's yeah, this is my problem with the trad fad of like trad wives, right? Is like it is just so romanticized as in like women, wait, it is wonderful to do all these things. And it's like you're not wrong. It is. But like
It's also not super realistic or
It's not-
attainable.
yeah, exactly. It's not it's not realistic and attainable. And I guess does that mean you can't share it or
No.
like you can't live your life that way? No, but I don't know. That's just another part of it. Like I said, this thing has like so many layers to it that makes my brain like turn and like fight each other.
And I think
You know?
Daniel said that like there are times where like she'll get sick from exhaustion
Yes.
and she won't be able to get out of bed for days because she's just
Doing
sick
so
with-
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
that's
because
another
they
thing
can't
too.
have a nanny.
Yeah, they don't have a nanny. Like that, it's a lot of work. So I props to her.
No,
Yeah.
really, she is like, I have a lot more respect for her, I think, after this article. Because, like, I don't necessarily, like, her life is not one that I would want to live personally. I have no desire to live on a farm and to whatever. There's definitely aspects. It's not for me. I feel like seeing all of this in a new light, though, I don't know. Have you guys seen the video of her? I can't remember if I sent it when he gave her for her birthday the egg apron. That video is so sad to me now. Have you seen it, Abby?
I don't think I know what you're
Basically,
talking
for
about.
context, it was, I think, a couple months ago, or this was a little while ago, but they posted a video of him giving her a birthday gift, and it was like wrapped up in a box, whatever. And so she was like opening it, and she's like, man, I bet these are tickets to Greece, or kept making jokes about like, oh, I hope these are plane tickets, or I hope this is something I can wear in Greece, like not even subtly hinting that she wants to go to Greece. And she opens it, and it is a little like apron to wear around her waist specifically to collect eggs in. So like going out to the farm and collecting it. And people are like,
Gotcha.
this is something that's so sad now after the video, especially knowing that like his family's affiliation with airlines and knowing like
Yeah.
you could get those tickets for free. Like she
And, like,
obviously
the
wants
fact
to
that
travel and do these
Right.
things, and you got her an apron. And who's to say that's all that they got? Like maybe he gave her another present and they don't live super lavishly like you were saying, Abby. But it's just little things like that it's like, ugh, I don't know. It just makes me sad for her.
Well, it's kind of funny too, the like lengths that he went when they were dating to, like, you know, he figured he got a
Calling
ticket
the
on the airline
airlines.
from Utah to Salt Lake City that she was going to be on so that they could have their first date on the plane and he could sit next to her. And like, okay, so you did that while you're dating, you do all these special things while you're dating, and then like you immediately get married, and it's like, oh,
Where did it go?
like, where did all of that go? Yeah. I'm very interested about your guys' ideas. Sorry, actually, do you want to say something first? Okay.
No,
I'm
it
curious
wasn't
what you
relevant.
guys think of the like religion aspect of it, because obviously she's Mormon and their whole family's Mormon, and they talk about that a bit in the article and everything like that. And from my perspective, I'm reading it and I have a hard time like understanding, because that is like a form of like a type of Mormon person or like lifestyle that I just am so like, it's not the same as like the
What we
Mormon
grew up
lifestyle
with.
I grew up in.
Yeah.
And so it feels almost so different. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts like were on that and like reading it.
For me, it felt, at least like when she talked about it, it just felt very Christian as a whole, in the sense of like, she obviously has a close relationship with God, and for her, that's what matters and what's important. I think reading between the lines kind of a thing, he probably gets more of his negative behaviors, whether that's learned from church or world or whatever. Who knows? Probably all of it, though. And so I think that's where it just kind of differs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like kind of what I said earlier, like when you do grow up in an environment where like men are the head of household, where specifically in Mormonism, that is kind of like the ideal family that we grew up with, or like that's what was promoted to us. Yeah, I just keep going back to like, oh, why was his dreams the default? Like, I guess it makes more sense with if you want to have a lot of kids to like live on a farm versus like New York City. But I think for women who grow up in this type of environment in general, it's like, I think women just kind of have it in the back of their minds that like they have to give up on whatever their interest is in order to follow their husband.
Something I find so ironic, this is kind of going back to the trad wife thing, and they very briefly talked about this in the article. What's interesting with influencers specifically that are coined as like trad wife is usually they are the breadwinners as well. So it's like they're marketed as like this very traditional wife, and that's all that it is. But it's like in reality, like the actions, the day-to-day things that they're doing and you're seeing online are traditional in the sense of like they're the ones taking care of the kids, they're the ones doing all of this, but like they're also not in the sense that like she's the face of their brand. I didn't even know who he was. I couldn't tell you what he looked like, couldn't point him out in a crowd. But, and like, sure, he probably does a lot behind the scenes for like the financial side or whatever of their business, but it's not something you're aware of. And so it's very ironic to me that the version of trad wife we see online is really like not traditional.
Well, and Hannah was saying, she's like, I don't even consider myself a trad wife. She's like, I also help run this business. I'm a working mom.
Yeah.
So yeah, but adding that on top of the fact that like she takes care of all the kids, and she does all the cooking from scratch. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's so
No wonder
like,
you're
wild.
sick
Props to her.
from
Yeah.
exhaustion.
Totally.
Yeah.
Here's the other part of that too that I just was thinking about is like, yes, women are more often like the face of the brand. That is the more traditional thing. Like, I don't know. I'm having my hard time wrapping my brain around this. Like, because he seems just as involved in everything, especially like the business, and even like he does take care of the kids. It seems like he was taking the kids outside to like do activities or help with like the work on their ranch or whatever. Like, I can't tell if I like it or if I dislike it that women are the face of these families more than men are, because it's like, in some way, it's like great if they are like leading it and they get the recognition, but then also like, is it weird because they're being like maybe forced into this role that like their like husbands are putting them on, and yet they get to just sit in the background and like let them like take all the blame, and like, but then like, I don't know, I can't figure out if it's like I like that or not. Like,
No,
I kind of wish he had an equal role and recognition in this,
and
because
that's
it's not all on her shoulders.
Yeah, well, and
I
that's
don't
what
know.
like I wish, like the internet looking at this article, I wish more people in their responses like saw her as that. Like, she is the face of the brand. She, like, that is a lot of responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
and in a lot of ways, even if she is sad that she's not a ballerina in New York, and she has a lot of regret about that. Like, I don't know, we're not in her brain. We can't know for sure. But even if she has a lot of regret about that, she's turned this lifestyle that maybe was not her dream and made it something profitable, and like kind of girl bossed her way through it. Like, and that's also admirable.
Totally.
So
Absolutely.
I think that I kind of wish that the internet people like understood that.
Yeah. It's very complex.
Yeah.
And I don't think people, like we were talking about at the very beginning, it's like there's a lot of nuance to it. Both things can be true, but the internet doesn't care about that. I saw one video basically hating on the article and just saying like it was very opinionated, obviously, and it paints it in such a bad light, and she's obviously so happy with her life. And I was like, I think you're right. But like, it is just way more complex than that. Like, we can't just put it on and say like, this article is terrible, this article is great. It's like, there's nuance even there.
But also how interesting that this reporter wants to come in and have special time with her to talk with her about everything. And like, she's not even given 30 minutes of like alone time with her because she has so many responsibilities. Like, where's the time she gets to have breaks or things like that? Yeah.
With the timing part of it too, though, I feel like part of it is just that her husband just has such an ego, and even though they were there to see her, he's like, oh, they're here to see me. Like, the part
like
where
our family.
Yeah, like he was
ranch.
showing her around the ranch or farm, whatever.
Yeah,
and
whatever's going on.
Hannah called and was like, hey, come back. And he's like, okay, we're on our way back. And like went the other direction to show one more thing. And it's like, the reporter doesn't care about this. Like, read
like,
the
what
room
a weird
little.
thing.
But it's like, I think I just really don't like him, honestly. So what were you going to say? Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, I was going to say, so, like, what about the feminism aspect of this? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Because there's a lot of people that say this is, like, progressing feminism and saying that women can choose, like, what they want. And if they want the traditional life, they are allowed to have that. And there's other women that are saying, no, this is, like, going against feminism. So what are your guys' opinions on that?
I mean, even that is so complicated. I think for me, feminism truly is, you just need a choice to do what you want to do. You should be allowed to do it. It's complex, obviously, because of the economy. A lot of people have to work and they don't get a choice in that regard. I personally feel like this does represent a different aspect of feminism, because it's like she gets to be a mom, but she also gets to work. Is extremely hard on her, obviously, like we've talked about. I personally don't see this as taking it back a step. If so, in my opinion, like if seeing someone uphold a more traditional role as a woman takes feminism back, quote unquote, that kind of defeats the purpose of it. Like if the purpose is that we can do what we want, why would someone choosing, and again, if she's choosing is the big caveat, like we talked about, someone choosing a specific lifestyle, taking it back, if that makes sense. That was kind of a lot of words.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, and that's like, it's hard to know because we don't know like what's in her head, if like
Yeah.
but like I do think in a lot of ways that like her becoming an influencer and like having her own brand is feminist because it's her choice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
She's the one that decided to post online.
Yeah. But again, I keep going back to this. It's just interesting, like knowing what she knows now. If she went back to that day on the subway when her husband said that he didn't want this, like, would things be different?
Yeah.
And not like, oh, they would never live on a farm, this is the worst thing ever. No, they're rich, they're fine. Like, but just like, would she have thought, okay, I want to like be a ballerina for a couple more years, like,
Yeah.
and then let's go to the farm or whatever. Like, you know, it's just, it's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like I love that there's like a representation of a different lifestyle than what everybody had, than what's been like growing online in the influencer world of just like, you know, girl bossing and working hard and grinding and everything. I love that there is like an opposition to that of saying like, no, actually some of us are really happy and love like a more traditional lifestyle. And so I think that there are people out there who are going to love it. It's hard because there are also going to be people out there who see it and take advantage of it and use it like women, like, you know, women could look at that and be like, yeah, I'm really unhappy living like this and working in this way, and I want to be more traditional, and I'm going to use her as inspiration. Great. Maybe some man sees it and is like, oh, I can find that and make that happen for my life, you know? So it's like, that's the scary part for me is like, and you can do this anywhere, but just like if anybody is in a position where they can be taken advantage of because they like want something. But I love that there's representation for it. And I love that she does seem very happy. But like the other part of it that I struggle with as like a mom in a way with the whole pageant thing, like I think it is amazing and it shows like how yes, women can do anything. Like I love messaging around things that are like women can do it all, women can have it all, like you can, like you don't have to pick and choose, right? I also don't like that very much because then there is like this expectation, oh, you can't have it all, so you should work harder. Like, you know, if you want a career and to have kids, women, like you can do that because look at this example here. So like if you're not doing it, it's because you're lazy. Like that messaging, I feel like these things give people ammo to like
push whatever narrative
messaging.
They want.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, I love that she is showing the strength of women, that she is showing her determination. She's like, I wanted something, I went after it. Pregnancy is not like a liability or a limitation. I love that. But then people are going to see this and be like, well, she did a beauty pageant at 2 weeks postpartum, so you should be back to work in 2 weeks. Like, and it's, you know, and so it's just the fear of the future that what that could mean, not necessarily that is happening.
And it's not even her fault. It's like people who want to like manipulate the situation.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the difference between like men and women, in my opinion, is like women get accused of these things way more than men could. Like, you could see a man doing everything and having it all and being like, oh, look, what's Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs didn't go to school, but he ran this company, blah, blah, blah. Now he, like, you know, built this thing up from scratch and he's amazing. But then, like, that expectation isn't put on men, I feel like, to be like, you should, because you don't have that, you don't work hard enough. You know what I'm saying?
Like I do. I don't fully agree. I think men have different expectations put on them. Because I think, like, and maybe this is a conversation for another time, but
yeah, maybe so.
I think the expectations put on, like, girls and guys as a whole are just different. Like, I think guys, it's the expectation that you work and you make a career and you have your own business and you do all of these things financially and accomplish all of this. And I think society does put a lot of pressure on them in that sense. Because I know, like, a lot of guys who don't necessarily want to do that and they feel really bad about it and feel guilty because they're like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I think it's just interesting because there are different expectations put on men, women, all of it. And, like, it's all kind of unfair. Like, I think everyone should just, you know, do what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so complicated.
I guess it's just, like, more fear of what could happen or what this could mean versus, like,
I agree.
This does mean this.
Yes.
Like, I just never know how people are going to take it, how some extremists are going to use it to their advantage or whatever.
I will say, and again, this is not, it's like the public's reaction. I do think that the public compares women more than they compare 100%. Men. So, like, yes, like her doing, like, a pageant 12 days after or whatever, it's like that's going to be, people are going to use that to compare it to a woman who stays in bed 6 months after having a baby.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean. Like, yes,
What's
exactly.
sad, too, a lot of times is I feel like it is, and we've talked about this before, I feel like it is oftentimes women online making those comparisons.
I've been thinking
so much.
I've been thinking a lot about that quote from Barbie where it's like, men hate women and women hate women.
Yes.
It's the one thing we can agree on.
We watched it last night and I was like, I hate how true that is. Like,
even
it's really
women
sad.
who think that they're being encouraging and telling her, like, girl, you should be home, you shouldn't be you should be resting, like, you don't need to put your body through this. Like, they probably think they're coming from a good place and trying to, like, encourage her to rest, but it's like, where's the encouragement and support for, like, her dreams?
Yeah.
Or what she
like,
wants.
what if this
like,
is what she wants?
And what it comes down to is, like, we're all here making assumptions about Hannah's life, and it's like, we truly don't know what's in her brain. Like, if she like subconsciously is, like, feeling some sort of, like, patriarchal, like, duty to, like, participate in beauty pageants 12 days after giving birth, it's like that's kind of like, we just won't know if she's ever feeling that, like, or if it truly is just her choice and that's what she enjoys. We'll never know.
Yeah. Props
totally.
to her. She's incredible, I think.
At the end of the day, it all just comes down to choice and making sure that the choices you make are not influenced by anything else.
Yeah.
Just your own desires.
Yeah. Thanks for listening this week. It's fun to talk about stuff like this, but come back every Monday and listen to us talk about things that really don't matter but are fun to talk about. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, friends.